Greetings everyone and welcome to another Defcamp and Melderon TV podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, remember you can listen to a Defcamp Melderon TV podcast on your favorite podcast provider, including Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening on one of those services, don't forget to check us out on YouTube at Defcamp Melderon TV. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at def_mel, M-E-L TV. Thank you so much, and keep on keybinding and grinding. Hello everyone and welcome to another Defcamp Melderon TV podcast / video. Today we're going to be talking about Shaman. I know we do a lot of Shaman content, but I think this is a unique perspective because someone who I play with very, very closely and someone who I live with very, very closely has been playing a Shaman recently. And I'd like to hear his thoughts on it because, you hear things from Egregious and myself, which is people who have played Shaman for a very long time, and Theory crafted Shaman, but I'd like to hear something from people who never played Shaman or started playing Shaman. So I'll introduce this person. You might know who he is.
Hey, my name's Defcamp, and I am currently playing a Shaman.
All right, let's get into the whys first. Why did you want to roll a Shaman?
So, I have been healing on a priest, not only since Classic came out, but on private servers as well. So all of my recent experiences have been that of a healing priest, all the way up to BWL on private servers and almost in AQ, and then again all the way to where we currently are in Classic. And I was trying to find the right word. I don't know if bored is the right word because I love healing. I really do. I love healing. And I was trying to PvP as Shadow, and I it's kind of a long answer, so just bear with me, guys. I really do love PvPing as Shadow. However, it just doesn't do it for me in a lot of ways. So I was my first character was a rogue. I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a rogue because I wanted to do some damage. I wanted to do something different. And then I started playing on my Shaman, leveling him up as enhancement.
But why? But why did you pick Shaman?
So, okay. We were just talking about this a little bit before. On playing my priest, it's really fun to outlast people, and you know what I mean? It is, right? Because that's what Shadow Priests do, right? We outlast everyone. It's not very difficult though, right? You literally can press 3 buttons and be an amazing Shadow Priest. You got to know when to silence. You dispel a little bit your fear. You put on your Vampiric Embrace and you just kill people, right? You get healing back, and it doesn't feel very satisfying in that sense because it almost feels cheap in a way, in my opinion, right? And I'm sure some people would totally argue against that, and you're right. It's all.
I guess people would also argue that Shaman are cheap because of EM, but we can talk about that too.
Yeah, exactly. But I think ultimately it just didn't do it for me in the sense of that feeling that you get when you kill someone and you see those huge crits, right? Or that feeling that you get when you have a really good match against someone, or that was close. A lot of times you play as a Shadow Priest, and it's almost like I don't want to say there's no competition when you're playing a Shadow Priest, but it just doesn't feel as satisfying for me. It just doesn't feel like I'm getting that.
Yeah, but that doesn't really answer the question though. So you could have picked Rogue, you could have picked Warrior.
That was why I stopped playing Priest, right? So let me just start with that. That's why I stopped playing my Priest in PvP. Okay.
Okay.
And I was healing a little bit, I'm going to say it right now, I'm not that much a fan of healing in Battleground. I love it in Arena, but not in Battlegrounds, okay? So, I had a Shaman and I had a Rogue alt, both around the same level. I made the Shaman first, but I stopped playing to play the Rogue, right? So I'm playing the Rogue, and I love Rogue is one of my favorite classes in Classic. And I'm leveling the Shaman, and I was talking to you, and you're like, well, you're around level 40, so I think it was around level 50, right? Because I had just gotten some really nice weapons for enhancement, and you said, try Elemental, right? So I tried it, and I fell in love with it. Like, it seemed so simple at first, but it's something that's almost simple yet elegant, right? Because it sounds weird, but like it really is, because you blow somebody up with EM, but it's not just about that, right? It's about using your totems correctly. It's about, I play a Tarn, so it's like getting that war stomp in, getting that combo off, getting those purges, being that disruptor, being that person who just can go in somewhere and just nuke something, right? So I really fell in love with the play style and I guess the explosive power of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think a lot of people, that's apparent, right? Every PvP montage, including the one we did, is centered around EM or lightning bolt crits or those kind of things. But I think the disruptor role is something that people really sleep on. And I think maybe talk about that, is that what has the Shaman toolkit done is outside of just bursting people down for you?
So not only that, I think so obviously one thing that is very satisfying for me is to get a really nice ground. A very nice grounding totem, right? So grounding a polymorph or grounding a pyroblast, right? Something like that. It's just a really good feeling knowing when to put down that totem. Putting down an earthbind as your druid's going up the tunnel and earthbinding everyone and watching them not be able to go get your flag carrier, right? Getting a frost shock, slowing someone down so that they can't get to the flag carrier, something like that. It's just very, very satisfying.
Or purging those priest bubbles or ice armor.
Or purging, arcane power,
Hand of freedom.
Purging, and that's something that I did as a priest, right? Because we could purge as well,
right?
But I found myself as a priest purging more defensively than offensively, right? Dispelling the warrior who's frozen, or dispelling someone's feet, something like that. I found myself much more doing that just because I played that defensive role for so long. Whereas shamans, you're forced to only be able to purge offensively, and it feels good doing that, right? But I think one of the biggest things I think that spoke to me, as when wanting to play the shaman, was the class fantasy of it. And I know this is something that you can really relate to, right? I love being a big, beefy Tarn shaman. I freaking love it, dude. I love it. It's like, it feels right to me. You know what I mean? Just as priest feels right to me in a lot of ways, being a Tarn shaman feels awesome.
Yeah, I have to say that Tarn is pretty good. I think it gets slept upon, even in the Shaman Discord. I think people laugh at it, but I really like I think in a good player's hands, War Stomp can be really, really crucial.
Yeah, so I think in PvP, I guess in PvE, I don't really PvE that much right now with my shaman. I mostly PvP with him. That's a lie. I do PvE as well, but I mostly focus on PvP. I feel like War Stomp is something that, and don't get me wrong, Orc Racial is amazing, but I love being able to rely on that War Stomp every 2 minutes, right? And it's helped me get out of so many situations where I've had melee on me, whether they're warriors or rogues, to sometimes just get off that War Stomp, EM, chain lightning shock, and kill someone while they're on me, right? Or flame fire Nova Totem. So it's like that combo, getting that off feels really satisfying to me. And just for my play style, I've very much grown accustomed to it. I really like it.
Yeah, I played Tauren Shaman in the beta, and I played on private servers as well. And I did like War Stomp a lot. I picked Orc primarily for class fantasy, but I also get out of a lot of shit because of my racial.
Yeah. Oh, you do. When we were dueling, I was War Stomping you, and you were resisting. It felt like half of them. Almost,
it's crazy. Actually, it gets nerfed in TBC, but yeah.
So the other thing about it too is I feel like I really like to. So the thing was with the priest, right? I felt like the skill cap for priest wasn't. I'm not saying I'm a skill cap player, right? I'm not saying I'm I'm such a good player that I need something that. But I feel like the skill cap for priest is pretty low for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
For what I got out of it. So I mean, everyone says it, dude. Shadow Priest is kind of cheap. It's blah blah blah. It's a couple buttons, this, that, and the other. And some people could argue the same damn thing for Ellie, right? But I definitely feel like there's a lot more that goes into Ellie if you know how to play
Well,
the class.
the thing I think to debunk that claim is ask the other person, what are they doing for the other 2 minutes and 59 seconds?
Exactly.
Right.
Not only that, but just you're knowing how to use your totems alone. So going against the rogue and knowing, like, okay, drop down a poison cleansing totem, right? Or going against a mage and you have like a frost nova totem, or getting that perfect grounding, right? Because like a lot of times people put down grounding and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna put it down there and let it do its work. No, a lot of times you gotta like be ready to put that down beforehand, because a good player,
like your shock's off cooldown, you see a polymorph coming out, you're like, shit, I gotta ground this thing.
You don't want to just shock to get that damage. You want to shock to interrupt that cast if you can, right? So I think there's a big, in my opinion, skill cap between playing a shaman in that respect versus playing a shadow priest, right? I played shadow priest for a long time. I played it in BC. I played it in private servers. It's a little bit different in BC. But the overall concept of it, fear someone, dot them up, mind flame, mind blast, silence them if they're a caster, and kill them. It's pretty neat and packaged. There's not really much nuance to it. There's not really much flair that you could put to it. I feel like with Shaman, I can put my own little flair to it. I can do things a little bit differently that someone might not do, or have a little bit more of a toolbox, whereas a priest, you kind of just, like the name of the game is just out-survive everyone. You know what I mean? Tickle them to death, or you can do some pretty decent damage. You get that healing back from Vampiric Embrace. You do a little bit of damage. You fear them. You get the blackout procs. A lot of it just does not feel like I'm putting into that much effort. Whereas Shaman, like every time I survive a fight, I feel so good. Like when I go against a warrior and I get down to 10% and I kill him, it feels so satisfying.
Yeah.
Where as a priest, I end the fight with 80-something% health, right? Just shield, you know what I mean? Sit there. I can literally, if you're a geared shadow priest, you can literally just Vampiric Embrace, Shadow Word Pain, and just sit there and mind flay them and pretty much almost out heal the damage that you're taking.
Yeah.
If you're really right. To me, that isn't fun. It was for a little bit, right? But it got boring quick. So I went back to healing, and like I said, for me, I'm not too big a fan of healing in PvP. I definitely feel like
it takes a very special kind of person to like that. I think
it does. And listen, I love healing in arena. I absolutely love healing in arena, but I do not like healing in BGs as much. So healing in arena is a completely different thing, right? You are with one other person or two other people, and you are doing a lot of different things, right? So you are sometimes doing DPS that you have to get that person down. You're dispelling, you're mana burning, you're making sure you're connecting those CCs with your other player, right? So whereas in a BG, yeah, you can be that disruptor, you can get a nice clutch fear off, but mostly you're just sitting there dispelling and healing people, and it's a lot different than it is in an arena. So for me, I really wanted to do something where I felt like I was impactful in a different way rather than just healing, and also able to go toe-to-toe with someone and pull my own weight and kill someone, and not just sit there and heal someone else and let them do it. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about Wind Fury Totem, because I think it's another really, really big benefit to BGs, especially pre-mades. And I just want to go out and say that Wind Fury is great, but it's very important for shamans to learn when to use Wind Fury, when to use grounding, and how to weave them properly. Because if we remember from Raid, if you're a shaman, you should know this already, but if you don't, Wind Fury provides a 10-second buff. So you can easily weave Wind Fury and Grounding Totem in a BG situation. And I want to stress, like, this is something that I need to work on too. And because it really has a benefit. So yeah, you just recently told me a story of how Wind Fury benefited you in a pre-med.
Yeah, I was... so we were facing a pre-med. I was not in a pre-med. We decided to sit in our base and defend. The leader of the group put me in the group with 4 other warriors, right? So obviously in this case, have 4 other warriors in my group, Wind Fury is going to be miles more impactful than a grounding is, right? So I put my Wind Fury totem in the middle of the room, not one person targeted, and we wiped that group within like 20 seconds. The damage they were able to do was insane. So absolutely, it's very situational. I feel like when you're in mid and Warsong, putting down a Wind Fury is probably not the best thing to do. If you're defending or going to try to cap or trying to get the EFC in their base, then putting down a Wind Fury can be really impactful, right? Because you're not only doing your own damage, but you're still a support class, you're still a hybrid, and you're still offering support in different ways with those Wind Fury totems. And even sometimes with a grounding totem, if you can get a polymorph grounded or something like that. So it's definitely situational. And that's something that I really love about Shaman is how situational each situation can be with your totems, right? Because sometimes dropping an Earthbind totem can like literally mean the game win for you. Dropping a good Earthbind totem, slowing the people so that they can't get to your flag carrier is honestly, I've seen that so impactful in some of our VPs.
And on the topic of Earth Totems, I just want to stress that I don't see this enough. I try to do this more because I wasn't doing it a lot. When you're 1v1ing a rogue or a warrior, I really suggest trying Stone Skin out. It really, really has an impact.
It does. Yeah. It really does.
Because Earthbind is not going to help you really because he's going to hamstring you and he's going to want to stick on you. Slowing him down is not going to help you at all, right? Sure. And I think that Stone Skin could literally mean the difference between a win or a loss in a 1v1 versus a warrior or rogue.
Absolutely. Stone Skin, you've got to have that poison cleansing totem up, right?
Yep.
Got to be. What I like to do is I like to weave between flame shock and frost shock when dueling a rogue, right? Mm-hmm. So one is I'm trying to, I'm not using my Earthbind, right? So I might be using a Stone Skin instead. But I also want to try to kite them as much as I can. And if you're using poison cleansing, the good thing is that crippling is probably getting constantly dispelled. So you're able to move around this rogue where he may not. He might have to use a cooldown to get out of that movement snare from you, right? So I try to weave Flame Shock with Frost Shock.
It's a good idea.
And try to move around the rogue as much as I can. Another thing that I've done, and this is something that we've seen before, is if some people don't use enemy cast bar, and some people, even if they do, they're so used to seeing that your hands light up green, and they might just think, oh, he's healing. So what you and I have done is...
this isn't new. We didn't design this.
Lots of other people do this, but I think it works way more than it should. People fall for it so often. So I fake Hearthstone. So I Hearthstone for for Tauren, the Hearthstone animation is exactly the same as healing with Lesser Healing Wave or Greater Healing Wave. It's the exact same animation, the exact same green light up, right? And it works way more than you think it would.
So it even works for me, and I'm an orc, and that's a different animation. It even works for me, and I'm an orc, and I have a different animation for Hearthstone.
Yeah, and it works for him a lot, too. So the kick actually does interrupt the Hearthstone, but since it's not a nature spell or anything
it's not considered a school. Yeah.
It just has no effect on your other spells. They just wasted a kick on your Hearthstone, and it's such an amazing feeling when they do that. I just kind of had a 1v1 with a Shadow Priest while we're talking here. I was just in a BG messing around, and I was able to kill him. You know what I mean? I was like, that's another thing that I think you really have to be careful of is like putting down those tremor totems when dueling not only priests but warriors, right?
Yep.
Because getting feared as a shaman sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah, it does.
I have almost always played Forsaken, and I have so what's the word when you underappreciated how much of an amazing racial that is, right? Because getting a full fear as a shaman is like a death sentence almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From a warlock or a priest.
I use Tremor when it's a bigger fight. On a 1v1, I usually don't use Tremor because they usually don't want to fear me. Because they're going to hit me out of the fear immediately, right? So I'm not saying that it doesn't happen because they could fear and need bandage. That could definitely happen. But I usually err on the side of Stone Skin instead of Tremor on 1v1s. But in a big fight, yeah, Tremor could be really huge.
Well, it depends on who you're doing. If you're doing a Priest...
Oh, Priest, yeah, for sure. Priest, for sure.
Or Warlock. So, when we used to duel, I used to duel you a lot as the Shadow Priest. And obviously, it's not really a fair of a fight, I feel like, sometimes. But... the first thing I would do is attack your Tremor Totem and then fear you right afterwards,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's like it can be difficult sometimes because, your Tremor, it doesn't have a cooldown, right? So you can put it down, but a good Priest is going to hit that, that Tremor Totem, like maybe while you're casting something, and then fear you immediately, and it's really hard sometimes.
Or like someone like you who knows the Shaman class now. We'll wait for it to pulse or something,
Right, exactly. So if sometimes you could do this as a Priest, right? Where the Tremor's already down, you fear, and then you immediately attack the Tremor Totem, and it still doesn't, it only pulses every few seconds. So if you can get that fear off before the pulse goes out, sometimes you can fear someone and then kill the totem, and it doesn't have any effect.
Yeah.
So it can be a real pain in the ass when dueling Warlocks or Priests. I find that some of the worst duels that I have are with Warlocks.
Yeah, they're tough.
I think Curse of Tongues. So on my Priest, the thing I hated the most was Viper Sting, right? Getting your mana taken away from you. As a Shaman, it's great because you can just take it right off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But as a Shaman, I think the thing I hate the most is Curse of Tongues.
Yep, Curse of Tongues is huge for us. That's our biggest hit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That and Fear without a Tremor Totem. Yep, those are the things that will get you as a Shaman. Yeah. So real quick, let's talk about the enemy's perceptions of your totems. Mm-hmm. What have you noticed? Because I don't want to answer this because I played them so long. What have you noticed about totems?
No one kills totems at BGs. No one. It is very rare. The most time I see people kill totems is when a warrior is trying to charge and just to get closer to you, so they'll just charge your totem or something like that.
Yep.
And occasionally I'll see a rogue kill a totem. But I would be so inclined to say almost 99% of the time your totems are not targeted.
Which is crazy.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. It boggles my mind. Especially, what really kills me is and I understand a warrior, if they have a really big two-hander, they really don't want to waste a swing on your totem, right?
Yeah, but
when I have a Fire Nova totem that crits for over 1,000, right? And they don't kill it, it just boggles my mind.
The thing is, they can use a hamstring on it and kill it. They don't have to use their
Exactly right. You know what I mean? So that boggles my mind in a lot of ways. So, they can even cleave it, right? They can cleave it and still hit you in a way, right?
Yeah. Here's another Shaman trade secret. If you really want to troll people, you know what totem you drop if they are killing totems. Let's see if you know. What totem doesn't have 5 health? Has more than that.
Oh, Stoneclaw.
Yep.
I never thought of that.
If you notice somebody's being really OCD with your totems, drop a Stoneclaw. They'll be hitting it forever. Not forever, but they'll be hitting it more than once.
So in duels is really the only time I see people kill totems.
Yeah, for sure.
So let me just say something real quick because I want to make this evident. Is I still love priests, right? Priests are, to me, I think what shamans are to Melderon, right?
Mm-hmm.
However, in vanilla, shamans are very quickly becoming a very close tie to priests. Now, I want to say something. In BC, nothing comes close to priest for me, right? I've played BC priest. It is, to me, Holy Priest, Disc Priest, and Shadow are perfect in the Burning Crusade. You can heal finally outside of your party. Circle of Healing is, to me, an even better chain heal. Prayer of Mending, right? Shadow Word Death. You have all these amazing things, Mass Dispel, that aren't in vanilla. And I feel like, and I'm going to say this, and we can talk about healing a little bit now, because this is something that I've started to notice recently as playing as Shaman. I have a lot of fun healing as a Shaman, even though my healing gear is kind of shit right now. I only have almost 500 bonus healing or whatever. I don't have a tier 1 8 out of 8. I don't even have a tier 3 piece. But that chain heal, right? Seeing that chain heal jump from party and heal people is so satisfying.
Well, that's a good switch. Let's switch to PvE. I know you don't have a lot of experience in PvE right now, but I think it's good to talk about. We were talking about this before the call, and we were like, shit, we really need to record this. How do you feel right now? You have about 450 spell power. How do you feel healing as a Shaman?
I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. Okay. It's a lot different than Priest, right? So I still love healing as a Priest. I have really decent gear, I only need one piece out of BWO and Elementium band. Everything else, I got my empowered leggings, I got the whatever. I got a lot of stuff in my Priest. I'm geared to the max. I can tank heal great. I can do all this, but you put me on my Shaman, I start chain healing, and it puts a smile on my face. You know what I mean? The one complaint, and I talked about this earlier, the one complaint I have for healing as a Shaman is that, and this is just because I'm so used to it as a Priest, is just that every so often, I got to drop this totem, and then I don't have, and I'll have, I wish the totems were off the global, because I find myself putting a totem down and then wanting to heal, and I have to wait that 0.5 seconds. I know it's a small thing, but to me as a Priest player, that does get on my nerves a little bit. And totem placement, and if you're in a melee group, always trying to keep that Wind Fury up, and always trying, and it is nice though. And on the other side, it is nice to be able to do something other than just heal. It is very nice to be able to feel like I'm impacting the raid in another way than just healing. I do like that.
Yeah, and I think Eagle will tell you this too. It's something you just got to get used to. Strategic totem placement, in my opinion, and timing the totem placement is what separates a seasoned Shaman from a new Shaman, right? As soon as you start to understand where the boss placements are and how far range they have, and have the correct add-ons, like Wind Fury now, which I just told all the melee to download. Once you have these things, I think it makes it a lot easier. Yes, are you wasting a global? In almost all boss fights, Shaman are using globals to make sure their totems are up, and that's something that you just have to get. I think you just have to get used to. But you can really mitigate the loss of healing throughput by making sure you strategically put your totems before damage goes out.
Yeah, and you made a really good point before the call. Is I'll admit this right now, guys. I am not full resto spec when I raid. I am basically my Ellie spec, so I don't have Nature Swiftness. I don't have the 0.5 reduced cast on Healing Wave. I'm basically a chain heal bot. It's basically all I'm doing is chain healing as a raid healer. When I because I'm only basically healing MC and ZG on my Shaman, right? I'm doing BW on my Priest. So I'm not getting the full experience yet, and that's why I was really interested. I asked Melderon, I said, one of these weeks, and we can do it maybe live and record it. I want him to heal on my Priest, and I want to heal on his Shaman to see what it's like to heal on a geared, fully spec'd resto Shaman. And I want him to experience what it's like healing on a fully spec'd, properly and geared Priest, because I think in order for me and for him to have, we were talking earlier and trying to rate which healer's better, and then this is an ongoing conversation. I think we need to experience the everything we can in that respect.
Well, I think let's get into this, because I think this is really good, and we don't play Alliance, so I mean, I think we should rate all 4 healing classes a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think we should start with tank healing perspective. So why don't you start with the Priest?
Yeah. So I'm going to argue that Priests on the Horde, right, are the best tank healers, and here's why. So obviously, priests and shamans both get something, which in priest is called illumination, which is when we crit.
You mean inspiration?
Inspiration. What is it called for
Ancestral,
shaman?
ancestral fortitude.
Ancestral fortitude. Every time we crit, it gives the tank 25% armor increase. It's awesome, right? We also have flash heal, which is a little bit of a better heal in terms of how much healing output than lesser healing wave. We also have heal and greater heal, which are also amazing heals that you're going to be down ranking using different ranks of. But not only do we have those things, and this is something that a lot of people I think underplay, is we have shield, right? And if you know how to use power word shield properly, it can be an amazing asset, especially with Fury prot tanks, right? Fury prot tanks take a lot more damage, but you also want to make sure they're getting as much rage as possible. So if you know, and this is where I love being a predictive healer and not as much as a reactive healer, right? That's why I love pre-sealing. If I know Broodlord's about to whack Navik, right? He's tanking. And I put that shield on him. He's not losing really any rage because, and I just negated 1,000 or whatever, so much damage. To me, that is like such a great feeling that I was able to reduce that amount of damage that he took by a really good amount, and pretty much almost kind of saved him from dying if he's mortal striked, right? Because if mortal strike, it's not reducing the amount of your absorption. It's still reducing the healing, but it's not reducing the amount of the absorb, which is so great in so many situations. So you have to know how to use Power Word Shield properly. You do not want to use it on a pool. You don't want to make it so that the tank is losing rage because of it, right? So it's very situational, and you also have to be aware of how many debuffs is allowed on your tank, right? So if there's only, say, one slot allowed, I will absolutely be using Power Word Shield over Renew. Which brings me to my next thing. I think Renew can be also a very good tank healing thing as well. So Renew has the most raw healing output and the best, I think, mana.
It says 100% healing coefficient.
Yeah, 100% healing coefficient, but it's also the best hot in the game. Better than Rejuvenation, better than Regrowth, for how much healing it does for the mana, right? So Renew can be a great asset on a tank just to have. My Renew right now, I'm not even like fully Renew spec. I think is taking for almost 400 a tick. Okay, so every 3 seconds he's getting 400, which is nice to keep them topped off. It's nice. Sometimes it could be, the meaning of life and death. It's just that extra little bit. And if you are a 8-piece tier 2 priest, you get the Renew that is put on after every time you use Greater Heal. So with those 3 things, more than 3 things, but with that toolkit, I feel that Priest is the best tank healer on the Horde, right? I think Paladin overall is a better tank healer, just because of how long they can last and their crits and this and the other. I mean, it's close. It honestly is close. They make good tank healers, but I feel like Priests actually have a lot more in their toolkit for certain situational things.
Yeah, I agree. So for Shaman, we really only become competitive when we have tier 1 out of 8, to be honest. I mean, our healing wave is a great heal, 2.5 second cast, and that's what you should be spamming if you're a tank healing shaman. Constantly, you should be canceling the cast if you don't need it.
Rank, what do you say?
What rank? It depends. It depends on your spell power, but 5 is a good one. 5 has a lot of high throughput, especially if you have over 500 spell power. 4 and 5 are probably the most commonly used downrank versions of healing wave. Rank 7 is another one. And then, of course, rank 10 with Nature Swiftness, if you need it. And, we have Inspiration, our version, Ancestral Fortitude, which makes us probably a little bit better than Druids. And with Tier 1 out of 8, you get a little bit of a chain heal with your healing wave. And with the decreased mana cost from talents and with your healing throughput from Tier 1 8 out of 8, it makes it the best tank healing set for Shaman through AQ. So I think we're pretty good. I just think I would default to priest. We're definitely not as good as priest, but we definitely have some, especially with the tier 3, 6 out of 6, 6 out of 8, or 6 out of 9, whatever you want to call it. The tier 3 is, talk about that for a second. We were talking about that, yeah.
Right. Oh, the tier 3, oh my god. Before we talk about the tier 3 ones, I just want to say, I really don't want to underplay how many times Nature Swiftness have saved our ass. So that's something that you got to give Shamans point, and Druids obviously, but Shamans just because it's like obviously they're the tank healing and they're they get the ancestral fortitude, but priests don't have anything like that, right? We don't have a instant cast heal. There have been times where that has saved our tank. You know what I mean? During priest call on Neff, or if feared on Anixios, just any thing like that, where either the druid or the shaman have saved the tank because of Nature Swiftness. So I just wanted to say that, and that's one thing that obviously priests are lacking. So Melderon and I were looking at the tier 3, that's the Nax set bonuses, and I heard the word totemic totemic power before, but I wasn't 100% sure what it did. So I have it up here. Do you want me to read off what it okay. So, Totemic Power is the 6-piece bonus from Tier 3. So, there are 9 pieces in Tier 3, unlike every other tier only has 8. There is a ring available for the Tier 3 bonuses. So, if you have this 6-piece, it has a 10% chance to give Totemic Power to whoever you cast it on.
Lesser Healing Wave or Healing Wave, right?
Lesser Healing Wave or Healing Wave, yeah. Has a 10% chance of proccing Totemic Power, which changes for whatever class you're healing it on. So we'll start with Mages and Warlocks. Mages and Warlocks, if you heal a Mage or Warlock, they get 80 spell power for, what is it, almost 10 seconds?
8 seconds.
8 seconds, right? What's a 10% proc, which is pretty good, right?
Yeah, it's pretty high. It's about the same as clear casting.
Spell power. That is nothing to sleep on, dude, for Mages and Warlocks. That's crazy. That's really good. For Shamans, Priests, Druids, and Paladins, they get 28 MP5. Pretty damn good. Yeah, because
when are Shaman going to be healing Paladins?
Yeah, exactly. sorry. For Rogues and Hunters, this one is really good. 140 attack power.
Wow.
For a set piece bonus. That's awesome. And then, ready for this? Warriors get an additional 700 armor. That's on top of what you're giving them from Ancestral Fortitude.
I think that brings us up a little bit closer to priests, though, to be honest.
It does. It definitely does. I mean, priests have some good set bonuses as well. We could go over them real quick. They're I don't think as good, but so the 2-piece reduces the mana cost of your new by 12. Not that great. 4-piece on greater heal crits, your target gains an armor of faith, absorbing up to 500 damage. So this is for every single time your greater heal crits, it will do an absorb for 500 damage. That is very powerful. It's
also pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. The 6-piece just reduces the threat from your healing spells, and then the 8-piece, each spell you cast triggers the Epiphany, which increases your mana regeneration by 24 for 30 seconds. So pretty decent, but overall the Shaman one I think is a little bit more powerful. The rest of them is increases the duration of your. Let me just read the rest of them for. So the two pieces that reduces the mana cost of your totems by 12%.
That's good.
Yeah, very good. The 4-piece increases the mana gained from your mana spring totems by 25%.
That's also not shabby, dude. Yeah.
And that's for everyone, right? That's increases the mana gain. And the 6-piece, of course, is the your healing wave and lesser healing wave spells have a chance to imbue your target with totemic power. And then the 8-piece, your lightning shield spell also grants you 15 mana per 5 seconds, which is where Water Shield came from. We all know from TBC. So, whereas some of the things are okay for Priest, I feel like almost everything in the Shaman is actually pretty decent.
Yeah, the 8-piece is all right, but yeah, but you're not. No one's going to roll 8-piece because you got to keep tier 2, 3-piece the entire game.
Right.
But
right. So
because of how powerful that is, maybe we should say what that is real quick.
No, because we're talking about raid healing, right? So that
Right.
goes
Okay.
with
So
that.
let's rate all. So go ahead and do your ratings for tank healers in vanilla.
Okay, for tank healers.
Yeah.
Okay, in vanilla, I would give. So we can just say, since there's only 4 healers, right?
Mm-hmm.
We just 4 out of 4.
Yeah.
So for priests, for tank healers, I would probably give them a 4 out of 4. With paladins, I'd say they're about even. Relatively for each, one. Shamans, I'd give them like a 3, probably like a 3.5 out of 4. Honestly,
3.
They're very close. Yeah, 3. Yeah, we'll say a 3 out of 4. Druids, I'd give probably like a 2 out of 4. If I had to, they've had to give them the lowest. Obviously, it'd be 1 out of 4. So I would give priests and paladins definitely the. I think paladins have a little bit of a leg up just because of how long they can last. But with one thing that we're seeing with fights not lasting that long is where I kind of say what in a shorter fight, I think priests
maybe during progression, paladins are 4 out of 4.
Yeah, I would say definitely during progression. But you got to remember, paladins don't have the inspiration buff.
True.
They don't have absorptions. They don't have a hot. However, they do have that constant healing going on them. So, and they are with those quick heals. They also make it pretty decent raid healer in the way that a priest could raid heal as well with those quick flash heals. So that's why paladins overall are a great healer when it comes to efficiency. But yeah, I would give that for the rating. So 4 out of 4 priest, 3 out of 4 shaman, and say 2 out of 4 druid.
Okay, let's move into raid healing. I think this is a pretty one-sided argument, but as a raid healer, I don't tier 1 8 out of 8. I tier 2 3-piece. And I can say, like, with confidence, we've had some movement around in our third raid healing spot. So Laraka and I think we raid heal probably about 90% of all the damage. It's
in fights where you guys are where people are stacked, right?
Sure,
sure. Yeah, which is honestly a lot of fights. I mean, obviously your melee are almost always stacked, right?
Yeah, I think the chain heal is the most impactful heal in the entire game.
I have to agree with you.
It is insane, dude. Especially with the tier 2 3-piece, which gives you another 30% more throughput on your additional targets, which is actually, Shaman get that as a friggin' talent in TBC. That's how good that is.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 20% in TBC, but still, that idea was that 3-piece was so powerful that they made it a talent in TBC.
So I'm starting to get it now. Let me just say that I have been fortunate enough to actually heal with chain heal, and like I said, it puts a smile on my face. The fact that the heal is a smart heal, and it can go outside the party's boundaries. It actually is a pretty wide range when you think of it for how far it can jump from target.
12.5 yards, I believe.
It's farther than I thought. I thought it was only, for whatever reason, I thought it was only 8 yards. So it actually is pretty. I mean, it's freaking good, dude. It's really good.
And if you add in the 3-piece bonus, and if you're full resto, the ancestral fortitude bonus, each bounce can proc it. So yeah, okay.
Yeah. So like for instance, for Veil, right? So we'll talk about priest raid healing for a second. As a priest, when you're going to raid heal, what are your options? Okay, so when it comes to your party, your options are great. If your whole party needs to be healed, you have prayer of healing. This is why priests are amazing on Veil, right? Because you put a priest in every group, and they just spam prayer of healing, throw a couple heals in the tank as well. And they're able to keep their group up by themselves, which is amazing, but that's only one fight. Every other instance, you are almost never using prayer of healing unless for whatever reason your whole group takes damage and they're near you, and for how much mana it is. So really
because you are the focus of that heal, right?
Right, exactly. You are the central point. So realistically, prayer of healing is really only good if you're healing 4 or more targets, in my opinion, because of how costly that spell is. It's 800 something mana, guys. It's a lot of freaking mana for one spell, right? So you're not gonna be spamming prayer of healing the way that Shaman spam chain heal, right? Unless it's Veil. So, what are your other options to raid heal? Obviously, you can flash heal, which is a quick heal, on multiple targets, or you can throw around a couple renews on some warlocks, this and another. But in no way does that come anywhere close. And this is me as a priest main saying this to Shaman's chain healing. I mean, it's just you cannot argue that point. Shamans are miles better of a raid healer.
And then take this into consideration too. So in Fire Maw, this is a pretty big thing. You can heal people that are not in line of sight of you with chain heal. Do you know how?
Mm-hmm.
Because if your target is in line of sight of the person you need to heal, you can heal that person.
Exactly. Yeah.
So chain heal to me is the most impactful heal in the game. I don't think there's any argument there. I mean, that's not. I think an illumination proc on maybe a big heal could be impactful, or using that. What's that? Paladins have a talent where they can make their next heal guaranteed crit, and if you pair that with illumination, it's a free heal. That's a pretty big.
Right.
Nature Swiftness, again, we have that too. So I think that for raid healing, I mean, I'm going to give Shaman 4 out of 4. I don't think there's any argument there.
100% 4 out of 4. I'll give Priests maybe a 2 out of 4, just because on some fights it's situational. And I think Druids will probably get a 2 out of 4 as well, just because they don't have obviously like wild growth or anything like that.
They have some. They can put some hots on. Plus, they can down rank their healing touch.
So can Priests, so that's why I'm doing the same rating. Actually, if anything, they're a little bit limited as far as Priests are, because Priests can also hot. Priests also have the option to Holy Nova, which is something I forgot to use.
That's another point.
Holy Nova people that are around you, but only in your group, like I said.
Also, you can pop a shield on someone, too.
Yeah, and you can pop shield on someone. So I would probably give... Let's give Priests 2 out of 4, and we'll give Paladins and Druids like maybe a 1 out of 4. I mean, Paladins are okay raid healers because of how quick they can heal, right? And then how much they can do it. They can nonstop spam Flash of Light on many targets, right? But in my opinion, it feels wasted almost. If you have a lot of Paladins, obviously you can do that. It's like sometimes I think about it. I think how do the Alliance do certain fights? Like, we're so lucky when it comes to raid healing. On the board, I feel like. I think okay, do they? And then the Paladins do a pretty good job of picking up the slack, right? And the Priests, of just spam healing, right? Who needs to be healed, and it does the job, obviously, right? Or they wouldn't be able to clear raids. It does the job, but I mean, Shamans do it so much more efficiently and in such a better way, and obviously on the Horde you have so many warriors, right? You have so many melee because you have Wind Fury, and a lot of that melee takes a lot of damage, right? So the melee is always consistently taking damage on almost every fight. Baron, right? They're staying in. Golemag, they're getting stacks, whatever. And the fact that they can stay in longer because they have the Shamans to back them up means a lot. It's so impactful. Whereas, you might have to have a different strategy on other fights as Alliance, right? It's just that much better on the Horde to where they're able to do it. So, give Shamans the max rank. And this, for me, overall, I think right, we're talking who is the better healer overall when it comes to raid healing, and tank healing. I have to kind of admit this. In vanilla WoW, I believe Shamans are the overall best healer in vanilla WoW.
Yeah, the only point of contention I would make, I agree. Maybe I'm biased, but the thing is, it's like you also have to consider blessing of the threat reduction.
True, and that's the other thing I was going to bring up. So the reason why,
but you have to compare that with Wind Fury, because one's offensive, one's defensive.
But you also have Tranquil Air, right? So
we do, but we can't use both. We can't use both.
But here's the other reason why I'm going to say that
actually we can use
Shamans
both.
are the best overall healer, right? Because obviously Shamans are Shamans are better than Paladins in this way, because Paladins might be a little bit better of a tank healer, but Shamans, how good they are at raid healing just puts them over on both, right? Because Paladins are a much, they don't touch the Shamans on really raid healing, but I would say, Shamans are kind of close to paladins in closer to paladins in tank healing because of things like ancestral fortitude and the tier 1 APs, in my opinion. So with all that being said, is why, and because of totems, right?
Yeah, and you can provide both Wind Fury and Tranquil Air. But
I understand, but what I'm saying is, like, not only do you have Wind Fury totems, Tranquil Air, depending on the group or whatever who you have, if you're totem twisting, whatever, but you also have things which paladins have as well, like fire resistance totem or fire resistance aura.
No, I'm just saying that you can provide the DPS output and the threat reduction at the same time. I think people don't realize that. But you can't do it if you're in a tank group. Do not drop Tranquil Air if you have a tank in your group.
No.
But if you're in a 5 DPS warrior group and threat is an issue, you can definitely twist in Tranquil Air, provide that threat reduction while still providing Wind Fury. So make sure.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. So I think at a skill cap level, I think shamans have the upper hand as well, just because with the totem twisting, right? I mean, if you really want to get really sweaty and try hard, the totem twisting can be really, really beneficial to the raid, to the group that you're in.
Yeah, especially if you have the ability to do Grace of Air with Wind Fury.
Now, obviously, shamans have no buffs in terms of, like, arcane intellect or fortitude, this type of thing, or spirit, but they do in the term of totems, right, for their group. So, and almost every night we have almost one shaman for every group. I think we have 7 shamans.
No, we have 5. But the thing, we have enough shaman for melee. That's all that really matters.
Right. We had 7 shamans. I'm sorry, we had 7 shamans. Yeah. But yeah, it's always nice to have a shaman. I feel, even as a priest, I'm like, it feels great to have that mana tide or mana spring totem in my group. It's so nice to get a mana tide, and to have a shaman in your group is a very welcome sight. Who cares if you have a priest in your group, really? Who cares if you have this and whatever in your group? It's not that big of a deal, but having a shaman in your group is very, very nice.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, honestly.
Honestly, I think paladins, priests, and shaman all really shine in different ways.
They definitely do.
But I think that you're right. I think if you take overall numbers, I think shaman may be the most impactful healer in the game. But
now,
yeah,
in TBC, I just want to talk about TBC for a second because we're all looking forward to it, right? In TBC, I will argue that I do believe that overall, when it comes to raid healing, tank healing, overall healing throughput, priests take the cake in TBC. Now, totems excluded here, right? Because obviously, priests don't have totems; they can't be that beneficial in that way. But Circle of Healing is, I mean, I could argue that it's better than Chain Heal in a lot of ways, just because it doesn't have that drawback, and heals a lot. It heals so many targets, and it is out of your group, as is Prayer of Healing. You can heal outside your group. You also have Prayer of Mending, jumping from target to target. These are all raid heals, right? These are all raid heals.
They definitely fixed raid healing in TBC for priests, at least.
I feel like priests are perfect in TBC. I don't think I would change anything about them. Whereas I feel like my question to you, Melderon, is, I feel like priests got a lot of things fixed in TBC. I feel like shamans didn't get as many changes.
Well, we didn't really need a lot of fixing, to be honest.
You didn't need it. That's the thing. You guys didn't really need it.
But the things we did need, we got a reactive heal in the form of Earth Shield, and we got our boost to Chain Heal without having a tier set bonus. I mean, what else do you want? I mean, Riptide maybe, but that comes in Wrath.
Right, yeah.
So I think in Wrath, Shaman are more complete, but the fact that Wind Fury is still a very important thing, and then Wrath of Air Totem, like, these things are very, very beneficial. And Earth Shield is the only reactive. That's not true. Prayer of Mending is reactive too. So Prayer of Mending and Earth Shield are the only 2 reactive heals in TBC, and that's really good.
Was it in TBC where Druids get a crit, they get that seed, or is that later?
I thought that was Wrath, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Not 100% sure. Druids, however, are amazing healers in TBC. Life Bloom, you get Druids, I feel like, made the biggest changes from vanilla to TBC. Putting a tree in your tank group, it's so impactful. It increases the healing done to everyone in their group, right? By a pretty substantial amount. So, they move a little bit slower. Who cares? Whatever. But having that tree in your tank group, man, that is really, really good. So druids are definitely fixed in a lot of ways, but I still think, in my opinion, priests take the cake. Now, I also really enjoy priests in PvP in TBC. Now, here's the thing: I never played a shaman in TBC.
Right? We're going to be very powerful in TBC as healers, but
when it comes to arena, though, so I want to just say, as I do prefer elemental in BGs, I absolutely love healing in arena because it's a completely different style. It's a completely different, what you have to think, your CC chains and all these other things that come into the play, come into the fold. And sometimes you are going to be pushing out some damage. Sometimes you are going to be, putting out those CCs, Cyclone as a druid and this and other. So I feel like the healing role in PvP is so much better in the Burning Crusade. But since we don't have that in vanilla, I really think that for me, the most fun I have in PvP is on my elemental shaman.
Yeah. So there's two things I want to do before we end. And one of them is I want to say to the druids out there, I know it's frustrating right now being sniped by every other healer in the game. And it's not like we do it on purpose. It's just the way our classes work. You will be rewarded if you stick with Druid and TBC. I can guarantee you that. It gets better, guys, in TBC.
Yeah, it gets a lot better.
You know what I mean? And but and then that's one thing I want to say. But then I want to end with this. So Defcamp, what would you tell someone who's on the fence about trying a shaman out?
I was on the fence for a long time, and I think some of the things that scare a lot of people are the totems. And Melderon said something to me, and I said this to you guys a lot of time, which really made a lot of sense to me and made me do it. He said, think of totems just like any other spell. Use it as you would a spell. If you want to interrupt, you know what I mean? Or if you want to, get more damage, explosive damage, think of it as like that: a fire nova totem, a grounding totem, a fear ward, so forth, right? Don't overwhelm yourself. And I think for a lot of people who don't want to, maybe they want to do elemental, maybe they want to do enhancement, maybe they want to do resto. I can honestly say, guys, I had fun doing every single one of them. I still want to try enhancement in PvP. I still want to raid resto. I think shaman has so much to offer in vanilla WoW. I think it is one of the best classes designed in vanilla WoW. I think it was almost done perfectly. There are very, very few things I would change.
It's a raid DPS. Raid DPS.
Yeah, the raid DPS. However, though, I think it's important that, in vanilla WoW, I think it's important that not every class can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? One class that kind of gets a better than, is like, mages and warlocks. Like, warlocks can PvP good, they can level good, they can DPS good. But, for some people, that's all they can do. They can't tank, they can't heal, right? So they are gimped in some other things. But I feel like the overall arc of a support of a hybrid, I feel like the shaman does so well. Because not only are you a healer, you're also benefiting the raid with your totems, with Wind Fury, one of the most amazing things in vanilla WoW.
The most impactful buff in the game.
So impactful. And it feels so good sometimes to be wanted like that, right? To be like, oh my god, we need to bring a shaman, just for that totem. I mean, it really is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And at the same time, able to be an amazing healer, or able to be an amazing PvP presence. Or at the same time, able to one-shot someone with Wind Fury. It's a really fun class. Each spec is very fun. There's a lot of nuance involved, and if you really want to try it, man, give it a shot. Stick with it. I think leveling as a shaman is also something we didn't talk about, but it's also a lot of fun.
Considering the fact you can tank a lot of dungeons too.
Yeah, you can tank a lot. Enhancement is I think enhancement leveling is really fun. Especially like I remember I got Kang, the Decapitator, around level 44. Oh my god, when I had that thing, I felt like a god. You know. But even low level, like really low level leveling as a
So
shaman,
powerful, dude.
so powerful. I think they're probably the best
1 to 10.
1 to 10 leveler.
I mean an enchanting alt just to have an enchanting alt. I got him to 5 in like 20 minutes or something like that, dude.
Yeah, and I saw that you got him even an extra level. You probably still wanted to keep playing him. You know?
I did. I wanted to keep playing him. Yep.
Yeah. So honestly, guys, I am going to keep playing my shaman in Vanilla WoW. I might end up playing him more than my priest. I don't know. I love healing as my priest. I have a lot of good gear, like I said. But if you would have asked me a year ago, getting ready for Classic WoW, hey, Defcamp, what do you think you're going to be doing? Oh, I'm playing my priest, and that's it, pretty much. You know what I mean? I would have not. I knew I was going to make a shaman alt, but I did not think that it was going to grip me as much as it did and kind of envelop me and fall in love. Honestly, I fell in love with this class and the spec especially, and PvPing. Like, I almost gave up on PvP. I said, I don't want to rank because I'm not having fun and this and the other, because everyone wanted me as a healer and I wanted to become a shadow.
Yeah.
But now
I just
like,
want to say this wasn't a product of me going in the Defcamp's room and be like, oh, you need to play a shaman. You need to play a shaman. You did this pretty much on your own, dude. I didn't give you any, like, I let you do whatever you wanted to do. It wasn't like living with me made it like,
I've always respected shaman. I've always adored it in a way. And I think I got a deeper understanding of shaman through you, absolutely, by watching your videos and talking to you about it, and realizing that, hey, wait a minute, this is actually something that I want to try and want to do. And I think the first real moment I had that just blew my mind was in the beta when we were able to do that AV, that Alterac Valley at level 50, whatever, and doing that AV as a shaman. I fell in love with it at that moment. I really did. And I think for me now, being I've got some decent gear. I'm working my way up. I'm getting there. I think I'm going to have so much more fun to come. So maybe look forward to some Chef. His name's Chef Camp. Some Chef Camp streams on my shaman. Some more videos. Maybe some more PvP videos with Melderon and I. So. Look forward to that, but I'm having a blast right now. I'm having so much fun in this game. I'm so glad I stuck with it and leveled them up to 60 because it's really just reinvigorated me.
Yeah, and just the fact that you're able to approach so many different roles in one class. And we were just having a discussion about alts before this too, and Defcamp's like, well, you don't have an alt. I was like, I don't need an alt, bro. I have a shaman. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I hate to say that, but like I'm able to enjoy every aspect of the game with this class, and I really like that.
Yeah. I mean, you got to try tanking at leveling. You got to do the healing. You got to do the melee. You got to do the what other? I think the only other thing that can do that is druids, but they don't do it like shamans do it. I mean, obviously you can't tank raids. I mean, you can if you wanted to.
Yeah,
it's been done, but you're not going to be a good tank like in raids. But you can tank dungeons fine.
Especially with the gear. I can tank as elemental right now.
I mean, you do it half. I always end up healing you anyway. You always pull aggro.
But I have enough armor and threat production to actually tank as elemental right now.
When we do, let me just say this: when we do dungeon runs, and I'm on my priest and he's on his shaman, and like we have like 3 warriors with us, he ends up tanking more than the warriors do. Way more than the warriors do.
Because they have more armor than they do.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Like if the warriors are wearing like if they're full like fury and they have they don't have like any plate, they have like a lot of leather and whatever. He ends up holding just because the aggro that you get from elementals.
Yeah, I think we do better bouncing aggro back and forth than actually having a dedicated tank sometimes.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, and it feels good to be a little tanky in PvP too, to have that shield on.
The fact that you can be a tanky caster is such a cool thing, dude.
It is. It's almost like that battle mage. How you said so that is something that I forgot to mention that I want to just put on real quick. The other week I got a Staff of Dominance, and I was like, oh, I'll just wear this, and I'm like, dude, it's like night and day from PvPing with the staff with a sword and board or dagger and board, whatever. I have almost 50. I have 47% damage reduction against
physical damage.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That is huge. Without it, it's like half of that almost, you know? So to be able to take those big hits from warriors, rogues, and hunters is pretty damn cool.
Yeah, whereas like aim shots usually like, hunters can global clothies,
Yeah.
And the fact that you can survive that is really big.
It is.
Anyway, we can keep talking about this forever. I just wanted to kind of this is essentially just a podcast for the shaman community more, but it's also for people who want to try shaman out who have been afraid to, I would say. Give it a shot.
And one thing I want to say to my fellow priest brethren out there is like, I still love priest. It's still one of my favorite classes in Vanilla WoW. It's just that where I am right now, how I've been playing and what I've been wanting out of the game, I'm getting a lot out of it from the shaman right now, and I think that's okay. It's to admit, you know what I mean. You have to admit, what you're feeling right now, and I was feeling, I had done it for years now. Going on 2-3 years of just constantly playing a priest, in Classic WoW from private servers to now. So you need to change things up every once in a while. You know what I mean? Start something new, start something fresh, and it's okay to admit to yourself if you like it. You know what I mean? If you like playing a paladin, you never thought you would. Hey, roll with it. You know what I mean?
Yep. All right. Well, guys, I'm really hoping that this is going to invigorate Defcamp to show off his shaman over stream. We'll see. But I think you guys should definitely check it out. He's doing great with the shaman, and
thanks.
Yeah.
Man.
So anyway, guys.
So
yeah, no problem.
We're a huge influence on it as well. So
I just told everyone I wasn't a huge influence.
Well, you were. You were in the sense that you were an influence in a lot of ways.
All right.
I mean, you can't. I mean, for me at least. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. All right, guys. Keep on and grinding as usual, and there's some stuff coming down the pipeline. It's just been, we've been playing a lot, but it's coming.
Yeah.
A lot of you shaman people out there are going to like it, I think.
Yeah, maybe some more PvP montages and maybe some.
Oh, there's something bigger. There's something bigger down the pipeline.
Oh, that's right. Very soon, right?
Soonish, yeah. Soon TM.
Soon TM.
All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Take it easy.
Peace.